and welcome to the Morningstar series, Ask the Expert. I'm Emma Wall and I'm here today with Senior Equity Analyst for Morningstar, Alan Nichols. Hello, Alan.
Hi, thanks for having me, Emma.
So we're here today to talk about telecoms. There's been a lot of news in the telecoms sector over the last year. BT looks to be buying EE. Of course, BT not that long ago launched its own television. Sky is moving into the 4-play. All this convergence, of course, EE before that was two separate. It was Orange and T-Mobile.
Right.
What does it mean for investors?
Well, we think quad play is the way the market is moving, especially in Europe. And so, the UK has been behind many other countries in Europe, and really with BT making that announcement to acquire EE, it's really jump-started the quad play convergence movement here in the UK. And after that, TalkTalk has offered a 4-play service. Vodafone has said we're going to offer one. Sky has announced an MVNO relationship with Telefonica starting next year, so they'll be able to offer one. So one of the things that we like about the quad play, one, it saves significantly on churn. We've seen that in other markets where it's much bigger. So, for example, Telecom has announced that a quad play customer only churns 2.5% of the time versus a single play does at 22%. So a huge differential.
Loyalty.
And loyalty. And the loyalty then reduces the amount you have to spend on advertising and marketing because you can keep your customers longer. Additionally, in many cases, particularly with BT, getting back a wireless network again, which they had lost in '02, they have enhanced their unique asset, which we think is a major part of building a moat, is the unique asset. And so by having that full service, it enhances their position, and so they'll now be number one in fixed line, broadband, and wireless.
And this economic moat, it's a phrase that Morningstar's borrowed off Warren Buffett, this competitive advantage over peers. Economic moat is one of the things that we look for as investors that will sort of hopefully predict long-term returns in the future.
Right, and so we like moats because exactly that reason, that they do tend to have more staying power, and so you're able to earn a return on capital that's higher than your cost of capital. And over time, in telecom, the spreads are much smaller than they are in something like software. But even 50 to 100 basis point spread over a compounded period is extensive and very meaningful.
And what about the argument then that these companies are going to become jack of all trades and masters of none? Because we sometimes, accuse some of the conglomerates in India and indeed some companies of Japan of trying to do too many things. Is that a worry with quad play?
No, not because it's all communication based. So you're offering basically the same service to the same customers. Where there is some of that empire building is that they're moving into, in some cases, other areas with finance or something where they're trying to use their network. And finance maybe is okay because in many cases it's like with an NFC. So you're still using the same network to do financial services. The bigger, in places like Korea, then they're buying all kinds of things that have nothing related to do with telecom, but that's not happening in Europe.
And what about the differentiators? I mean, the ones that come to mind, I suppose, are the ones that own the infrastructure. BT owns the fixed line in the UK. If you want to have any supplier of telephone, you still have to pay BT £10 a month. And Virgin owns the superfast broadband, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So are those the sort of things that we should be looking for investors, people who own the infrastructure rather than having to rent it?
So, generally speaking, we prefer those that actually own it. With Virgin Media, their network covers about 55% of the British population. They've recently announced that they think they can, through some infill investments, take it up to about 70%. But beyond that, even if you're using Vodafone or TalkTalk or whatever, you're having to use BT's copper network for the last mile, what's referred to as the last mile, that last copper piece. Vodafone did buy Cable and Wireless Worldwide a couple of years ago. That gives them the second largest fiber backhaul network, but it really goes to corporate clients, and they've been doing a quad play service to corporates for years, but it doesn't go into the residential neighborhood. So even for them, that last little piece, they've got to use BT's network, which is an advantage for BT. But it doesn't mean that they can't be successful. But all else equal, we would prefer them to actually own the network.
Alan, thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is Emma Wall for Morningstar. Thank you for watching.